What's up, Jak and Daxter fans? Boomer here. You just witnessed one of the most common techniques in Jak and Daxter speedrunning, the Boosted Uppercut. And in this video, I want to teach you how to perform the trick yourself, where to practice them in each and every game, as well as where to make use of them for both speedrunning and casual play. And yes, before you ask, this means it works in all of the games, regardless of the version you're playing on, including emulator. So let's get started. First, I want to show you how to do a boosted uppercut, and the method I'm going to teach you is what's most commonly used. It contains of only 3 parts: slow walking, falling off of a ledge, and performing an uppercut spin. Knowing the timing for when to do the uppercut input in this sequence is crucial for the trick, as it combines all 3 elements together. But let's learn how to slow walk first. Simply hold your left analog stick slightly into any direction until Jak starts slow walking. And that's already it. You just learned how to slow walk. Congratulations. The next thing I recommend working on are the inputs for the uppercut spin. This movement technique is completely developer intended, by the way, and you should know about this from casual play. In case you don't, let's practice that on foot first. To perform an uppercut, you just press square and X in quick succession. Pretty easy, right? But that's just the uppercut part of the trick. Now, add a circle input at the end of the uppercut, and it will look something like this. You can get more distance out of your boosteds by timing the circle input properly, but more on this later. Now you know about the slow walk and how to perform an uppercut spin. But let's combine the two when falling off of a ledge. The timing on this is essential, as it allows for the trick to work. Slow walk towards the ledge, and as soon as you see Jak falling, input the uppercut spin. If performed properly, Jak will get a lot of distance compared to what a normal uppercut spin would get you. You should now have a basic understanding of how to perform a boosted uppercut, which brings me to the second part of the video, where to practice them. Before I get to that though, I would once again like to point out that this trick works the same across the entire Jak and Daxter Trilogy, regardless of the version you're playing on. So if you're learning the trick in the Precursor Legacy on PS4, the muscle memory you acquired should carry over to Jak 3 for PlayStation 2, for instance. Talking about the Precursor Legacy, let's start with that, and probably one of the best spots to practice boosted uppercuts. After quickly going through Geyser Rock and watching the Samos cutscene, you're free to explore surrounding areas. Sentinel Beach has a small gap between the second windmill and the Bird Lady that just feels like it was designed to practice this trick. Starting out up top from either side of the small pit and correctly performing the boosted uppercut you just learned, you can make it over to the other side. If you don't make it and fall down in the process, it's very easy to get back up with these rocks. I also recommend killing these lurker puppies as well as the sandworm at the bottom of the pit, so you don't take any damage repeatedly when failing the trick. Retrieve Banner from Deadtown is probably one of the best missions to practice boosted uppercuts in Jak 2. You can get to the mission that leads you into the Deadtown quite early on. Escape the prison, defend core, and the Resistance hideout will show as an icon on your minimap. Once you arrive there, you'll acquire the mentioned mission for the ruined part of the city. Or, if you're feeling extra bold, you can skip getting the mission entirely by clipping into the place early with a zoomer high jump. Once past the airlock, walk a bit into the area until you see a small island on your left. Get over to it and perform a high jump spin on the white paving, and you'll easily climb the walls. The wall I'm currently on and its opposite side have the perfect distance to practice boosteds. If done properly, you can close the gap between them by getting a ledge grab, or even make it over without getting a ledge grab at all. This requires you to delay your circle input though, as mentioned earlier. If you happen to fall down, you can just go back up with a quick high jump spin or a ground pound spin on the white pavement. And that's it for Jak 2, on to Jak 3. The training course in the arena of Spargus City, right when you start the game, is probably the easiest spots to reach. Don't collect any of the tokens, but instead go to the platform where the mission would usually end. You can perform boosted uppercuts towards the platform with a ladder attached to it, which makes a decent spot to practice the trick. Keep in mind that these platforms extend a bit further out, so you may have to slow walk a bit longer than usual, but the trick works exactly the same. If you don't find these platforms any good to practice on, I recommend going to the mission Climb Monk Temple Tower. You can either play your way up to it casually, use level select requiring an already completed file and enough precursor orbs, as well as the well-known debug mode. Instead of completing the mission as intended, walk back outside to the dune hopper and use it to jump over the gap right where the waterfall is located. And once you're past the void, get out of the vehicle and perform a boosted uppercut on the very right of the ledge to make it over. Although this is not the most ideal spot in terms of frame rate and the amount of time it takes you to get back in case you do fall off, you can practice boosted uppercuts pretty nicely here for one reason. And that brings me right to part 3 of the video, and that is where to make use of the trick. For the current any % route, you're making your way to the monk temple on foot. And before you ask, yes, that is possible. You deload some parts of the desert, allowing you to go through mountains, as well as make use of holes in the water plane to swim to the temple. The final step before entering it though is to cross this gap of the waterfall. Getting there casually, you jump over it with the dune hopper, but sadly we don't have the vehicle at this point in time. So I'm sure you already guessed it, this is where the boosted uppercut comes into play. Inputting a quick square, X, and circle as you're walking off the ledge allows you to close the distance. Being able to cross the gap, this route saves roughly 3 to 4 minutes compared to the next fastest method we speedrunners know about. And that's quite a lot when you're running a 30-minute category. But let's go back in time with Jak 2. There are 2 places in the current any % route that make use of boosteds, one being right in the beginning as you're escaping the prison. There are 3 moving platforms in the big fortress hall, and the second one is where we're going to perform the trick from. The timing here can be a bit of a challenge since the platform is in constant movement. Performing the boosted uppercut as it's moving what I consider backwards is my personal recommendation for the skip, as it becomes more visible this way when Jak is starting to fall. Overall, this is just a small skip, but when you're trying to improve your best personal time, everything counts. Oh, and before I receive a lot of comments telling me, "Boomer, I just got this crazy glitch, the guard room doesn't load in!" Going too far to the right over these computer-like machines makes you miss the loading trigger for the next area. So aim and go over to the left of the 2, and you should be able to continue with no problem. The second spot in Jak 2 any % is when you want to perform the currently fastest way to get into Mars Tomb. Once you've gotten yourself a zoomer and went out of bounds, you previously clipped into the hallway where the airlock to the tomb is located. You can instead now get close to the edge and after a quick zoom in using the R3 button, perform a boosted uppercut. If done properly, Jak will die and respawn inside the tomb, almost as if he has taken down the elevator. But let's see what Jak 1 has to offer. Let's begin with Misty Island. There is a cell on a tall, lonely island right next to when you arrive with the boat. Instead of taking Blue Eco to the platform and grabbing the cell its intended way, you can perform a boosted uppercut with a quick square X circle input as you're falling off the ledge to make your way over there without ever touching any Blue Eco. Tired of having to activate the yellow Eco switch in Snowy Mountain just to get the backtracking cell Mountain Pass? It's possible to get this hidden power cell entirely on foot without having to use the zoomer or yellow Eco to break the rock that's blocking off your way to it. There is a small void in Mountain Pass itself that you'll need to get across first. You can do that with a roll jump, but it's a lot more consistent doing a boosted uppercut here. Once again, quickly pressing square, X, and circle as you're falling off the small ramp gets you over in no time. Then performing a precise high jump spin at the wall under the power cell makes you glide up to it, completely avoiding to activate the yellow Eco switch. Climbing the giant robot in Spider Cave to get the power cell on top of it is another place where boosteds could come in handy. There are other ways to get up to the cell, but the one I'm showing you here is by far the fastest. Entering the robot room, make your way over to the left, grab the Blue Eco, and use the launch pad to get up to the poles. Once you're up there, you can grab the power cell that's sitting there. If you turn your camera a bit to the left, you can see another cell sitting on top of the robot. Perform a slow walk, fall off of the ledge, and input square X circle for a boosted. If you're having issues making the distance, you can also try it from the Blue Eco platform. There are plenty of other spots all over the games where boosted uppercuts have proven themselves as useful, but I think it's the best for the length of this video and your sanity if I don't tell you all about them. Instead, I advise you to go and look for some places yourself, and maybe you end up finding something that hasn't been known about. So before I send you off to do so, let's quickly repeat what you've just learned, look at some common mistakes, and do some troubleshooting. We begin with what I've been seeing the most, not getting the boost. If you don't get any speed or distance, you're probably walking off the ledge too fast, completely avoiding the part where Jak slides off. Make sure you're holding your left analog stick ever so slightly forward so that Jak barely starts moving. The moment you see him fall off the ledge you're trying to do to boost it off of, that is where you want to perform your uppercut spin inputs. What's also a common issue is not making the required distance. Getting the boosted on Misty Island ledge grabless, or making the distance from the wooden planks over to the robot and spider caves are just two examples. To get the maximum amount of distance out of the boosted uppercut, you want to delay your circle input a bit, but make sure to delay it not too much, else you won't be able to get any height from it. Keep in mind that everyone is playing on a different monitor and console. I can't account for every possible setup in this tutorial, so you will need a bit of dedication, time, and practice to figure something out that works for you. And I think all of what I've just mentioned gives you a good idea on how useful boosted uppercuts can be for the Jak and Daxter Trilogy, and ultimately answering the question why you should learn them. They're fast for speedruns, that can make your life a lot easier in casual playthroughs, and they are a fun thing to mess around with in all of the games. And the greatest thing, you now know how to perform them yourself. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a thumbs up, as it takes a lot of time and effort to create this kind of content. And if you want to learn more about Jak and Daxter, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, and bye bye.